Hello, how are you? I hope everyone is gesund, stark und freilich, begashmis und beruchnis. I hope everyone is healthy, strong and happy physically and spiritually. Today is Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Parshas, Va'era. It's very, very late. Yesterday was Rosh Chodesh Shvat. What's the connection between Rosh Chodesh Shvat and Parshas Va'era? And what's the relevance and the message for us today? Right now, as in the past couple of weeks, our hearts and minds are our brothers and sisters in Eretz Yisrael. It's a war, so we're adding in tzedakah, g'dei l'tzedakah shemakareves zagula. It should bring Mashiach now. Amen. We're also going to say a prayer. Ono Adonai, Haishiono. Ono Adonai, Hatzlichono. Hashem should help us, and Hashem should bring a rescue and a salvation right now, Mashiach. In this week's Parsha, what I'm going to say today, by the way, is based on the Sikha the Rebbe in Chelik Tezayin Va'era Gimel, and also connected to what the Rebbe speaks about in different places about Rosh Chodesh Shvat, as hopefully we'll get to in the end. In this week's Parsha, Moshe Rabbeinu again brings up how he's not the person to speak and to be the Redeemer, and he says, Vayemer Moshe l'fnei Hashem, I have blocked lips. How will Parai listen to me? So the Rebbe asks a klotz kasha. This dialogue, so to speak, was already before in Parshas Shmois, when Moshe Rabbeinu told Hashem, "Vayimah Moshe Hashem bi Adoni, bi Hashem, lo yish dvarim alechi, gam mitmel, gam l'shem, gam meyoz dabercha el avdecha, ki chvad peh." Moshe Rabbeinu tells Hashem, I am not a man of words, also not since yesterday, etc. For I am heavy of mouth and heavy of speech. So what's the difference over there, where Hashem also tells him that who is the one who makes speech? It's in the hands of Hashem. And he says, Vanochi eyem picha, I will be with you. I shall be your mouth. I shall be with your mouth. So what's the difference over here from over there? That's a question that the Rebbe asks. And the bottom line of the Rebbe's answer is that there's a difference if you say chvad peh or if you say aral svasayim. Aral svasayim means that my lips are blocked. But chvad peh means that my lips are heavy. My lips are heavy is not such an impediment as aral svasayim. Chvad peh means that it's difficult for me to speak, but I could speak. It's just that I'm a kvad peh, but it doesn't mean I can't speak at all. Mashenkin, if I say I'm aral svasayim, that means my lips are blocked b'chlal. And on that, Hashem answers him, Vayemer Hashem o Moshe, re'en esaticha elikim lefaroi, I have made you a master over Faroi. Va'aron achicha yeh neviecha, Hashem, Aaron will be your brother, will be your speaker, means your interpreter. Ato sedaber es kol asher atzavcha, atzavecha, v'Aaron achicha yedaber al Paroi. And he says, you shall speak everything that I shall command you, and Aaron, your brother, shall speak to Paroi. So, what is exactly the answer over here to Aral Svasayim? Why is it different than what it said over there in Parshas Shmois, where the Eibush also told him that I will be your mouth? And also the Rebbe goes into different explanations. We'll soon explain the Yukim and Rashi. Why is it important to say that you should be a likim lefarei? What does it mean you should be a master? And Rashi says that you will be Shofet v'reida, a judge and a ruler. What's the point of that? What do you mean that you'll be a judge and a ruler? And what does it mean when Rashi says that Aaron will be the one that will be your interpreter? Yamlitzenu, he will be your interpreter, and V'yatimenu, and he will explain it to Paroi. What's going on over here with all these examples, with all these words? What is Rashi really telling us over here? And he also says, Ata tedaber pam achas kol shlichus u'shlichus kafi sheshamaytem mipi. every single time I give you a message, you'll give over the message to Paroi. Said, yeah. So what does it mean? So it comes out from over here. First of all, let's understand that Moshe was going to do this as a shliach. Al derech shluchei shel adam k'moisei. He has a new category over here. He becomes like Hashem himself. And that's why some of Parshas say over here means, it means like a god over Pharaoh. Even though Rashi over here means a master over Pharaoh, and it means not like a god, but according to other commentators, based on a pasuk in Eve, which we might mention later, it means like a god over Pharaoh, which means like shluchei shel adam k'moisei. And because, in this case, Moshe is saying that his Al-Sarasayim, his lips are blocked, that means he needs a greater koyach. And it's this koyach of Re'ene Saticha Likim Lefarei that gives him the power to do what he has to do. And that's why Rashi emphasizes Kol Shlichus or Shlichus, because over here he's a Shliach. And Dafka in that level of Shliach, where he becomes totally nullified to Hashem, he's able to carry it out, as we'll soon explain. And that's what it means over here, that what does it mean that he's going to say it over as he heard it from Hashem? It means he's going to say it over in Lashon Kodesh, even though Paroi does not understand Lashon Kodesh. And therefore Aaron is the one who has to translate it and explain it. Moshe's job is not to translate it and explain it. But what's the point? And on that Rashi also says, Sheifet v'roide. In other words, like a shock and awe. Moshe Rabbeinu stays in his level. He's like a master. Paroi has to sense that. Moshe Rabbeinu walks over to him and tells him whatever he tells him in Lashon Kodesh, which Paroi doesn't understand. And it's like the ultimate ruler. Moshe comes to Paroi, it's like he doesn't even reckon with him. He comes over to him and says, whatever he says, abracadabra, Lashon Kodesh, whatever the words the Eibishter told him. And then the Gabbai, so to speak, the Mishoras, the second in command, is the one who has to translate the words. So it shows that Moshe does not even reckon with the whole Metzias of Paroi. And that's how you show that you are the master. And this is what Rashi means over here. Sheifet v'roide. What does it mean, Sheifet v'roide? Judge and a ruler, because you are showing him how he is nothing. And he will be completely crushed and destroyed if you get in my way. Because I am a shliach of Hashem himself. So, and now everything that Rashi says over here makes sense at all the questions and all the diukim that we mentioned before. So now let's get into the explanation a bit. What the Rebbe brings out in Meir Dikavot is that the level of Aral Svasayim shows on a higher bittul of Moshe, that he's completely silent, and because of that, then he becomes the conduit and the one who can be the ultimate shliach and have the total power of Hashem. In other words, what's the level of Moshe Rabbeinu? We spoke about this many times, the idea of an ish elikim, a mamutza ha'machaber. He's the one who's the intermediary, just like Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who gives over the Torah to Am Yisrael. And this is the definition of a Jewish leader, of a Nosei Ador. He's an ish elikim, a man of God. Like it says in Parshas Zabracha and in Tehillim. Kapitel Tzadik, I think. Ish elikim. Michetzi lamayla elikim u'michetzi lamata ish. In other words, because he is somebody who on the one hand is of this planet Earth, there's the ish part, but at the same time he's completely bottled, so he becomes a conduit and a vehicle for Hashem. So therefore he's the one who can bring whatever's the highest levels, as they are the highest levels, and bring it down into the world. Just to give you one mashal stam that I heard from Rabbi, and we mentioned it in these shiurim many times. Rabbi gave a mashal, I don't know if it comes from Rabbi or he said it over from the Rebbe, that we see by a king. We have a king and the king has a crown. Where does he put the crown? He puts the crown on a tzvok, on a nail. It's the crown of the king, and the king is the most important position, and the crown is a very important thing. You'd think, where should the king put his crown? He should have a soldier that his whole purpose is that a crown goes on his head. He stands there always to be in position that when the king wants to put down his crown, he puts it on this soldier, on this slave. But the answer is, the problem is that the slave is a Metzias. He's a Medaber. And if the king was going to put the crown on the Medaber, then the Medaber might get some fancy ideas and think, maybe I should be the king. Al derech the Maisa with Haman and Achashverosh, that when Achashverosh started telling him who should we honor with as somebody who's loyal to the king, etc., Haman thought it's about him. So therefore, where does the king's crown go? On a tzvak, on a nail, on a daimim, shevisi v'damanti. When you're like something which is a totally inanimate object, that you don't even make a sound, so then you become a vehicle, you become the recipient of the crown itself. I hereby dub thee emissary, shluchei shladim k'moisei. So by Moshe Rabbeinu being an Aral Svasayim, what does it mean it was Aral Svasayim? Not only Kvad Peh. Total bittul means Shavisi v'damanti. I can't speak. It's because of his unbelievable level of nullification and selflessness. So therefore he's Aral Svasayim, because Kol HaKod of Yesed Kala, we say Kula Kamek Kalachash, everything in relation to Hashem is like nothing. So Kol HaKod of Yesed Kala, the closer you are to the king himself, the more you're like nothing. So therefore Moshe is completely silent. Shavisi v'damanti. And therefore when you reach that level, so then you reach the level of Reina Saticha Elikim Lefaroi. You become like an Elikim over Paroi, and then you have the power to nullify and destroy a Paroi. And in the Sikha over the Enchel Tezayin, the Rebbe explains the Chidush, and based on other Maimor Mechsidis, that there's sometimes where the Gemara says that there could be a situation where we don't start up with a goy. The Gemara says, Im reisa rosha she'asham misachekes loi, altas garaboy. If you see a wicked person to whom he seems to be that he has the hour is smiling upon him, it seems like he has good fortune, don't provoke him. And the truth is, we have to understand, like in the story of the Alter Rebbe, when Napoleon was on the warpath, and the Alter Rebbe was running away from him. I'm just bringing out, we have to understand that it could be that there are certain times where we have to be careful. But nevertheless, in that Sikha, the Rebbe says that that's the Chiddush of Reina Saticha Elikim Lefaroi. That even if it's a situation where somebody is a ruler and he has an empire, and you think that now's not the time to be able to destroy him, so we say no. There's a mefeish bracha of the Eibusha, Reina Saticha Elikim Lefaroi. And this is the message why I wanted to speak about this today in particular. That this is what it says, Kol ha'isik b'Torah is oila ki lehikif. It says when we learn about something in Torah, we are able to accomplish it. So now that there's a war going on, Achmar l'slan Hashem yirachem, it should be over this second. But we should learn in Torah, the way the Eibusha tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Reina Saticha Elikim Lefaroi, that the Yid, somebody who's connected to the Moshe Rabbeinu, to the Nosei Adair, special tzaddikim, they're given the power to even take control over a parah, even at a time where it seems that they were given some powers, because everything comes from Hashem, and the fact that they were matzliach and did certain things that were horrific and terrible, means that they were given a certain level of reign, chas v'sholom, God forbid, but it seems like that. But still you should know, Reina Saticha Elikim Lefaroi, there's a tzaddik, there's a koyach HaTorah, which is even more powerful that can control that. And this is what it says in Chassidus, and this is what's brought down the Lashon, that it was given to Moshe Lishber Klipas Paroi, Ba'oidoi Betokvoi, that even when Pari is the ruler of the world, but nevertheless, the Eibusha gives a Moshe Rabbeinu, and in other Maimarim it says, Rashbi, V'hatzadikim shebedargazu, the Eibusha gave Moshe Rabbeinu, and Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, and tzaddikim that are on that level, to be able to accomplish that even when the Paroi is betokvoi, at the height of his powers, he also could dominate and be superior and win over him. So that's the Teichen of the Rebbe Sicha in Chelik Tezayin. Now let's connect it to Rosh Chodesh Shvat. Rosh Chodesh Shvat is the day where it says, Hoyel Moshe Be'eres HaTorah Azois. He explained the Torah in Shivim Loshen, and the Rebbe explains in Lekutei Sichas Chelik Yutes, Dvorim, and also in Chelik Lamed Vav, Rosh Chodesh Shvat, that over the same explanation. See there, why is Moshe Rabbeinu the one who is able to give over the Torah to us and bring it out to Shivim Loshen? Because he is the Mamutza Machaber. He is the intermediary that bonds us to Hashem. He is the one who could take the word of Hashem as the word of Hashem is, and then give it over into 70 Loshen, because he's the Mamutza Machaber. So that's the connection between Rosh Chodesh Shvat and Parshas Va'era. What does this all mean to us? So, in Tafshin Nun Beis, there was a Sicha that the Rebbe spoke in Gimel Shvat. And the Rebbe said something that only the Rebbe could say. The Rebbe spoke about the previous Rebbe, how the previous Rebbe had a medical condition that caused that his speech was affected. And that there was a doctor that said, how could it be that the Rebbe, the previous Rebbe, whose whole purpose was to spread Chassidus, and he got affected in speech? So, the Rebbe says, first of all, that even though it's not our position to ask questions on the Eibishter, especially how the Eibishter deals with the Nasi Ader, and it's not possible to say the way it was meant to be, but in any case, at that time, when Moshe Rabbeinu took the Yidden out of Mitzrayim, Moshe Rabbeinu's speech was not healed. It becomes healed later by Matan Torah, but at that time, his speech wasn't healed, and therefore Aaron is the one who helps Moshe Rabbeinu. And then the Rebbe says over here that this is the lesson for us, that we have to be like the Aaron to Moshe Rabbeinu. This the Rebbe said, Gimel Shvat Tafshin Nun Beis. And Chov Zayin, or the Beis, a short while afterwards, the Rebbe had a stroke. All Chassidim point this out. Let me read to you what the Rebbe's lesson that he says from this is. Jeder soll sich annehmen als ein Limud beterossi von dem Bale Lula soll ich maschlim memalle sein, das was hat gefällt in der Spashtus war Fotzes Hamayonis zu lieb dem Meniya Ve'ikov bekoyach hadibur from dem Bale Lula. The Rebbe says over here that every one of us should fulfill that which was lacking by the Bala Lula, by the Frierdiker Rebbe. Sei durch dem eigenen Limud bedibur und sei und afotzes hamayones chutzo zu andere. So here the Rebbe gives us an instruction. None of us would be able to speak like this, to say these words. But the Rebbe spoke like this and gave us an instruction clearly. We have to be like the Aaron to the Moshe. That if the Rebbe is not speaking those words, so through us speaking those words, we're fulfilling something kaviyochol for the Rebbe himself, like the Aaron to the Moshe Rabbeinu. So that's the first lesson from today, that we have to take from Rosh Chodesh Shvat, which is about bringing Torah and making it available and accessible and understood to others. So we have to bring the Torah of the Rebbe into speech and to bring it out into others. And this is a message for everyone. It doesn't only mean the Rebbe's Torah, it means Torah in general. That's the message of Chodesh Shvat. And that's the message that there's a Moshe who gave us the Torah, even though at that time in Mitzrayim, he was a Rals Vasayim, but there's an aspect where he has an Aaron. Aaron helps Moshe Rabbeinu. Now I want to tell you two stories that are connected to this. But before I tell you two stories that are connected to this, first I just want to finish off some things that I should have mentioned before concerning about what happens over here. I want to read you a lashon from a maimer that the Rebbe brings in the Sicha over there from about Moshe Rabbeinu having the ability. And he says that even though Moshe Rabbeinu comes from Toyu, the world of Toyu, and ein lecha kelim keelu, avla noichi avaya, she'asisi es ha-kelim de tikun, ve'es oilam ha-toyu, ani yochel ha'afich ha-dover, le'es'arav b'chinas toyu v'tikun yachad, hainu ha-mailis t'shneim. Shiwa oiris merubim kamei betoyu, v'gam b'chinas hamal detiken, shiyu akelim merubim lo'it. Over here the Rebbe explains that no matter what levels there are, Moshe comes from this level usually, and then there might be some limitations, but in the end, if you come to the source of all sources, there are no limits whatsoever. And that's what happens over here in this week's Parsha, when the Eibishter says, we come to Atzmos, we come to a level which has no limitations whatsoever. And why is that so? Because he came to a higher level of nullification, the ultimate nullification of Aral's Messiah, and therefore you become completely transparent and you get everything. And by the way, this is also the explanation of what it means when we come to Shemoneh Esrei, the highest level of davening, where we say, it's explained in the Chassidus, Hashem svasai tiftach. Hashem, speak through me. Because you have to ask permission to even make a twitch, a move. You became completely silent. When you become completely silent, as we said many times, wie nemmen bli gvul, nicht durch dein Metzies, not durch dein nicht Metzies. How do you become a vehicle for true infinity? Not through your existence, but through your non-existence. When you bow, when you make way for the super infinity, then you become a conduit. Now, I want to say two stories. One story is Avot. We're learning Parshas Ve'era. Everyone knows, we said many times, that the words Ve'era is Vav Aleph. Vav Aleph stands for 7. In this week's Parsha, we speak about the 7 of the 10 Makkos. Parshas Boy equals 3 Beis Aleph. That's the next 3 Makkos. So when I went to Russia in 1986, right after Simchas Torah Tavshin Mem Vav, I met Reb Getcher. Reb Getcher Valensky was a Moededik Chassid. And it was right after the story with Chernobyl, the nuclear fallout, what happened. And I asked Reb Getcher, was alter? As is a gute Sache oder a schlechte Sache? Because a lot of children had to be flown away from Russia, and a lot of Jews were put into danger because of the nuclear that was spread around. It was very toxic. So Reb Getcher said, as is schlecht for the Russians, is good for the Yidden. He said, if it's bad for the Russians, it's good for the Jews. So he was saying it was a good thing. But then he said something that was so amazing. He said, Dorsche gewähren der erste Macke. Bald wird sein noch 9. He said, this is the first plague. Soon there'll be another 9. And this was before Glasnost and Perestroika was just a word. No one knew what was going to happen. But the way he said it, a Chassidische Yid, a Dorsche gewähren der erste Macke, bald wird sein noch 9. So Yehi Rotzin, that we should have the 7 Makkos of this week's Parsha that we're learning about should happen now to Hamas. And then we should come to the 3 Makkos, and we should see the ultimate Geula take of Miyad. Now, another tremendous, fascinating story happened in Parshas Vo'era Tovshin Mem Beis. The Rebbe said the following, that the Rebbe Rashab said a Maimer, Tov Reish Ayin Zayin, 1917. And the Rebbe Rashab said a Maimer about Reina Saticha Lekim Lefarei. And a short while afterwards, Tsar Nicholas was gotten rid of. The Rebbe said this by a Farbrengen. And the Rebbe said that some people didn't realize the connection between what the Rebbe Rashab said and Maimer Chassidus, and this is what happened right after that. But he said there was some Chassidim that did realize. And the Rebbe was bringing out what the power of a Maimer Chassidus could accomplish. That's said by a Moshe Rabbeinu and Nasi Ader. But wait, there's more. At that time in 1982, after the Rebbe said that Maimer, some major official from Russia died. And Chassidim at that time understood that it came because the Rebbe had spoken about this in 1982 at that time, similar to what happened with the Rebbe Rashab in 1917. So from this we take another lesson. I once heard a Chassidish word, it says the Eibishter created the world in 10 sayings. He could have created it with 1 saying. But I heard a word from a Chassid, I don't know where it comes from. Maimer echad yachal libaris. Mit ein Maimer kann man werden gesund. The word libaris can mean create, but it could be connected to bri as gesund, healthy. With one Maimer you can become healthy. With one Maimer we can make the world healthy. So the lesson is, we have to learn Torah. We have to learn especially Chassidus on Rosh Chodesh Shvat, which is connected to Yud Shvat, which is the day of the Istalkus of the previous Rebbe, and when our Rebbe became the Rebbe. So the Eibusher should help that through our learning Torah in speech, we should see results in the physical world that will bring about Ki Meitzeis Chameret Mitzrayim, Aren Uflois. We should see the ultimate Geula Shlema, take it from Miyad Mamish. Posting from my home, Be'ez Hashem Yisborach, your man in Melbourne.